Look at this. It's been a long time since a project has genuinely surprised me. And not because it's flashy or because it's expensive, but because this one just felt different. But also, it's not due to its nostalgic music or beautiful cinematography. Somehow, despite being based on a game made entirely of blocks, it captures a feeling that I've found most movies struggle to recreate. A feeling only experienced by someone who truly understands Minecraft. And judging by the view count, I'm clearly not the only person who noticed. There's just one problem with this series. A lot of people absolutely hate this series. But not for the reason you'd expect. But before we get into that, we need to understand why so many people fell in love with this in the first place. And for that, let's look at episode 1. This series is called Craft 1979, created by a YouTuber named LatentDiffusion. And from the very first scene, to anyone who's experienced Minecraft, this will feel very familiar. Steve wakes up alone in the middle of a field. No explanation, no objective, just an empty world waiting for you to explore it. Our main character starts, as every Minecraft world starts, and begins to gather wood. Tools get crafted, food gets gathered, the basics. But that's what makes it work. The episode isn't trying to rush anywhere. It wants you to sit with these moments, to remember what it felt playing Minecraft when it was still new, when every cave looked dangerous, when every night felt like a threat. And by the end of the episode, after Steve survives his first zombie encounter and hides inside a dirt hut for the night, Episode 2 picks off exactly where the first one left off. Steve continues exploring, where we encounter our second mob of the series. It burns up in the day and Steve takes one of its bones. At the time, it doesn't really seem important, but you'll want to keep this in mind. Eventually, Steve settles down near a cave. He sets up base there until he hears a noise coming from the forest and curiously wanders out. And that's where you find something unexpected. Steve carries out of the cave in his arms. And from that point on, the two begin traveling together. The world seems a little less empty, less hostile, and for the first time, Steve isn't completely alone. Then, right before the video ends, something happens. Looking at the series as a production, I think this comment really put it best. The main reason why this series is so popular is because the story could only be written by someone who deeply knows and understands the experience of a Minecraft player. The feeling of isolation, the accurate game mechanics, the experiences every player knows, are all included in such a way that resonates with authentic fans. Each clip has been tastefully placed and directed in such a way to invoke those feelings. With such high praise, it's easy to forget that this series remains one of the most hated. Well, that is, until you scroll down to just below the video, where you see this obviously changes the conversation. If you've spent any amount of time on the internet over the last few years, you already know how people feel about AI. Most people hate it. Entire channels have built audiences making fun and voicing concerns on the use of AI-generated content. So naturally, when people discovered Craft 1979 was using AI a la episode 2, you'd expect the reaction to be overwhelmingly negative. At least, that's what I expected. This is exactly how Minecraft feels. Lonely, scary, mystical, and unexplored.
Let's go! The real Minecraft movie is back.
This is the live-action Minecraft we deserved.
The right way for AI utilization. The audience loves this thing. Not ironically, not as some guilty pleasure. They genuinely loved it, which is not what I expected at all. In fact, it completely breaks the pattern we've seen with almost every major AI project before it. In fact, this level of support for something that was made by the aid of generative AI has only been seen once on YouTube. And explaining that case, I believe, will provide context to answer why people don't care about AI use here. The first project that managed to pull this off earned nearly universal praise despite openly using AI. Glorb. If you've never heard of the Glorb channel before, here's the basic idea. Glorb is an indie rapper who has been on the scene for a long time. He takes SpongeBob, a soft spot from his childhood, and writes a story showing multiple tropes that is prevalent in famous rap. Gang rivalries, manhunts, base raids, character arcs, an absurd amount of world building, and somehow make it all work. Millions of people became invested in this universe, not because of AI, but because of the creativity and overall production value. And when Glorb explained this process, suddenly something clicked.
To what degree do you, like, how does the AI work here? Entirely AI and you're just inputting the bars? How does it work?
And when it comes to the voices and that, we're doing it as close as we can, and we're voice acting it 95% of the way there and letting the AI do the rest.
Yeah, I think that's what makes it so crisp. I think if it was entirely AI doing most of the work, it wouldn't sound as clean. It wouldn't hit as hard.
Yeah, it'd probably sound like, let's be real.
As said in the interview, Glorb does 90% of the work with his voice to make it sound as close as possible to the characters he wants to mimic. It isn't in a situation where AI is building everything from scratch. It's not like LatentDiffusion, just put in one prompt, then uploaded it to YouTube. And I think that's an important distinction here. Looking at LatentDiffusion's Instagram, it's clear to see he has clear skill in terms of Photoshop and image editing. AI didn't generate these. And from these lenses, you look at Craft 1979 a little differently. Because there are clues everywhere that this series works largely in the same way. The consistency of characters being the biggest sign to tell, and something that will come up later, but also the reoccurring visual motifs, the setup and payoffs, the storytelling, things AI have never been good at on doing on its own. It's clear that just like Glorb, this masterpiece 90% of the way was fed into the machine. His Patreon shows drawn out art, and it's clear to see the level of consistency in his characters. It's clear that he feeds the machine all the drawn artwork, and in a sense sets the beginning and the end of a scene drawn out. And nowhere is this more obvious than looking at the newest episode. The episode begins by finally bringing together several clues that have been quietly sitting in the backgrounds for weeks. The cloth, the binoculars, small details most viewers probably noticed without fully thinking about it, until suddenly they matter. For the first time in the series, Steve has a goal, a destination, someone he's trying to find. And from that point on, every decision feels different. As Steve ventures into caves searching for resources, we get another reminder of why this series works so well. The progression feels earned. Steve discovers he can't mine iron with wooden tools. A simple moment, but it's the exact kind of mistake that most players make when they enter their first world. This series constantly recreates those little experiences. Not the mechanics, but the memories. And that's a much harder thing to do. Eventually, Steve reaches an abandoned campsite, evidence that the person he's searching for was there. And just before the video ends, he discovers a map, a new clue, a new destination, a reason to keep moving. And by this point in the viewing experience, I came to a realization. The reason I was watching wasn't the AI. The mystery was. But this all brings back the question we started with. Why do people hate this series? And why do so many others love it? After spending way too much time looking at Craft 1979, I think the internet might be asking the wrong question. Just answer me this. If I had never known that this had used generative AI, would you think the story of the series differently? Would your opinion actually be different? Would the search be less interesting? Would the feelings of aloneness and discovery be any different? Would the story suddenly feel worse? And I think that's what makes this whole thing fascinating. For years, the internet has treated AI as a replacement for creativity, a machine doing an artist's job. This creator sat down and wrote a production with characters, themes, messaging, creating and including his own feelings he himself experienced with the IP that he took inspiration from. He had to understand Minecraft and remember how it made him feel. And he had to know how to make millions of people care about his not-so-blocky character. AI did not do that. A person did. And maybe that's why this series makes people so uncomfortable. Not because it's AI, but because it's forcing people to figure out where the line actually is. And judging by the arguments happening underneath every single episode, nobody seems to know the answer.
Coming up next, Kane Parsons has been review bombed, doxxed, and accused of having a ghostwriter. Click here to figure out more.